Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, you know, there's just 68 days until Christmas 2022. And the fun continues. We're having we're having a good time already. Of course, the pre-show just ended. And that very short intro, it's only about 10-second intro. The rest of it's all pre-show. You know, Matt Risman taught me that. Matt taught me everything right before the show starts is pre-show. That's not the intro. That's so make sure you understand what we're looking at here, right? That all of that fantastic song by Meghan Trainor, pre-show. That's pre-show. That's it's not the actual show. And speaking of Matt Risman, he sent me an article just before the show started. Let me bring this up and share it with all of you all. And that's not the intro, Baymax. It's the pre-show. Yeah, make sure you get it right. It's the it's the pre-show. It's good. That's good stuff. So Matt just sent me this, and I want to share it with all of you all. Hey, I've got a guest with me. The actual composer of the fantastic song you're hearing here, the Hoth Ambience by our dear, lovely Megan. How are you doing, Star Wars Meg?
I'm okay. How are you, Santa?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for joining. We've got some fun things to talk about. Mostly what you already covered in your no music playing. You guys can't hear it. All right, here. Let me do this, and we'll do it this way because Melon has another way to do this. We'll do it this way.
Melons.
Give me 1 second. Here we go. That. Now you guys can hear it. There it is.
I had I did a really cool stream with Nikki the other day, and the topic was, is Star Wars dead? So if you're a patron or a channel member, that went live 4 minutes ago.
Oh, Star Wars Meg and Nikki, that is fantastic. I will definitely catch that this afternoon.
Sorry to self-promote.
No, but never apologize for that. But Matt Risman sent me an article this morning. We're going to talk a lot about what you discussed in your video today. But let me.
Ahsoka.
We're going to talk about Ahsoka. We're also going to talk about some of the other
the struggles that Andor's having.
Yes.
That's a fun topic.
And is it struggling? That's the question. But here's what Matt sent me. Star Wars Bring Home the Galaxy. It's from StarWars.com. They've got a bunch of new announcements. This one here is probably the one most people are going to be are the most excited about. The Black Series Clone Wars helmet. Right? It's a Clone Trooper helmet, Phase 2. So anybody looking for a Clone Trooper helmet, that is just released by StarWars.com. It's announced preview, reveal by Hasbro. That'll be coming out. And then just some garb. And then there's this 6,187 pieces. The Razor Crest. Now, Meg, do you collect any Star Wars Lego stuff at all?
I do, actually. I do. I'm quite fond of some of the bigger Lego sets as well. I used to collect them quite a lot during the prequel era. I still got the Geonosis set unopened. Apparently that's worth a pretty penny.
I've only got a couple of very small ones that I got for my kids when they were little. And so they're like...
not.
Right. They're like 12-piece sets. And I don't have them sitting around here that I could just grab. So, yeah, there is a blurg in this 6,187 piece. But that is going to be a pricey gift as well. Legos don't come cheap. So there's that. And then here you go. Santa Vader. Anybody that wants to gift that to Santa, I've got a mailing address now. You can find that. But and then we've got, what is this?
That is so cute.
It's Galaxy Pals. It says Ewok plush by Mattel. So you can find that coming out on Amazon, Walmart, Target, and Shop Disney. So there you go. That's that. But I want to get into some of these other articles you discussed in your video today, because there's a lot to cover as we get into Andor Eve. And before we get to the Andor news, there is the bit about Ahsoka, right? And
There is, yes. And I saw Bespin posted afterwards as well.
Exactly. So I went ahead and pulled up Bespin's article. The one that you covered is Natasha did tweet a couple things out, right?
Yeah, on Instagram she posted quite an old piece of concept art for Star Wars Rebels. And I just got really excited to see, Zeb, Kanan, Ezra, Hera in the background. I kind of feel like they might do justice to all of them. I'd love to see Kanan in a flashback.
Well, I'd love to see live action Zeb, and I think they can pull it off. I mentioned a long time ago, people have been concerned about it, but they did Beast for X-Men years ago. There's a big blue guy, so I think you could do a Zeb well, and I would love to see him in live action. Perhaps see where he is with. Oh shoot! All I could think was Agent Fulcrum. What's his actual name?
Callus.
Callus. Yeah, Callus. So
There was a Zeb rumor, wasn't there? The guy who plays that creature in that new film. He's been cast in Ahsoka, and he's very tall. And people kind of make the assumption he's going to be Zeb.
Yes, exactly. So I would love to see Zeb in a full, Rebels live action next chapter of the show. It would do a lot to get attention back onto Rebels for folks who haven't seen it. And this is a question I'm getting ready for next week, because we're coming up on an anniversary, a special anniversary when Disney purchased Lucasfilm.
That is true.
That's coming up at the end of the month. And I was putting together a survey I'm going to send out to folks and find out, how would you rank all of the Disney era Star Wars, all of it, animated, live action, Disney Plus, like in the movies, all together. How would you rank them, and how would you rate them on a 5-star scale?
I've seen a few people on Twitter sort of talk about this. Sorry, Santa, I interrupted you.
No. So Rebels initially came out on Disney XD. So, there's a number of people who may not have seen it on Disney XD because they may not have had that in their cable subscription or whatever. But it has been available on Disney Plus forever. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I've seen a few people bring up the anniversary, and there's a lot of histrionic opinions about it. Like, I've seen a lot of naysayers act as if Disney killed Star Wars, but we would have no Star Wars without Disney. And I'm not saying that because I love everything they put out, but I would say the majority of the things they've done are at least decent. Like, I understand that when there's something bad, it can make it feel as though everything sucks. But when you factor in Clone Wars Season 7, Star Wars Rebels, Mandalorian, Rogue One, Andor, in your case, the sequel trilogy, it's been generally a win. Right.
Let's do the what if, right? What if George had kept Lucasfilm and done his sequels? I think that's all we would have. At this point, we would have no Mandalorian. Certainly wouldn't have Book of Boba Fett or Kenobi show, right? We wouldn't have any of that. We might have season 7 of Why am I blank?
Clone Wars.
The animated, yeah, Clone Wars animated series, and Rebels, right? May have Rebels as well. But outside of that, we wouldn't have any of the Disney Plus series. And is that a net win or a net loss?
I don't know. I think it's impossible to say, but if George had done the sequels or his own TV shows like Underworld, or maybe that animated show he started working on with Seth Green, that's kind of all we would get. And if Disney wasn't even in the picture in terms of Star Wars, you'd still have fans being like, we think Disney should buy Star Wars because George has lost the plots. It's kind of like a catch-22 where you go into these two possible scenarios, and I think we end up at the same point.
I agree with you, because it's real easy on the outside looking in, or looking in the rearview mirror, to say Disney did their Disney sequels are the worst Star Wars. But if we unwind that and just have George release his sequels, there would be a bunch of the Star Wars fan base saying, George has lost his touch. We need a new creative in there. This was terrible. He destroyed Star Wars. And we know that's the case because that's what happened when the prequels came out. It's what would have happened again. You still would have had George Lucas fans who thought it was the best thing ever, just as you have sequel fans now, myself included, who think that's. I think the sequels, as they are now, are better than the prequels, but many people don't. So I think you wouldn't have a united fan base just because George was in charge. I think you'd have a lot of people who would say he's got to sell that to somebody. Yeah.
I think I said this to Nikki during our stream the other day, but like the sequels characters, I know I'm going to get some flack for this. The sequels characters are so much better than like 99% of the new characters in the shows.
That's interesting. I heard Josh Lucas from Dinner Nerds on Nerd Theory last night saying that he thought the sequels as a whole were better than the Disney Plus live action as a whole, which is fascinating coming from him because he's not exactly a fan.
A sequels fan.
Right.
I just think some of the characters in the new shows are a bit weak, apart from like the main characters. And I'm excluded people like Fennec Shand, Cara Dune, Mix Mayfeld. There are some really good characters there. But some of the characters in the sequels have way more potential, like Finn, Poe. They were much more solid. I mean, at the moment, people are like ranting about Wade and Tim, these characters who are just nobodies. There's no like memorableness to those characters compared to like even someone like Konex, Leia's daughter, or Dassie, or Holdo. I know I'm going to get flack for that, but
yeah. Well, I would go back to the original trilogy and Biggs, X-Wing pilot Biggs. They're like, okay, was that a character people cared about? Is that somebody people were really like, oh, poor Biggs?
I think he's always had a fan base. I remember seeing footage from like the 1980 Empire Strikes Back premiere in San Francisco, and there were like a few Biggs people.
Yeah.
And I know Star Wars Explained is a huge Biggs stan.
He is. He is. I just, threw it
Can
out.
I say, I do take back what I said about Holdo. She's a terrible character, but most of them are good.
Porkins. There you go. Porkins. What happened? Matt Risman got it. Yeah.
Red 5 standing by.
I know. But Porkins. R.I.P. Porkins. But I think Porkins is very similar to what you get with some of these others as well. But it's okay. They're not meant to be major characters that we're invested in. They're just named characters that didn't last very long. But anyway, we're off topic.
What did you think of the Twi'lek guy, the Major Domo?
Mojo. Oh yeah, from the Book of Boba Fett.
I think people have forgotten him pretty quickly.
I thought he was a hilarious character. I loved his personality that he brought to the show. It's a lighthearted, fun character in the book or in the series, Book of Boba Fett. Yeah.
Just to address Sheev talking about Holdo, I remember we spoke about this on a stream we did ages ago, but I found another Holdo action figure for like £1 at my local
Oh.
game shop. There's a bunch of Snokes and a bunch of Holdos.
Maybe you should start a Holdo museum like the Zoovium.
I'll dye
You
my
could
hair
have
pink.
Because our friend Martin Keeler has the Zoovium with, and that's sort of why he started collecting Constable Zoovios, is because they were like £1, and then people started mailing them to him, and he's got hundreds and hundreds of them. So,
But in his defense, Zuvio was marketed as like an important character in The Force Awakens.
right,
They were like, you need to get this action figure because he's going to be really important to the film. You're going to really want to hold on to it.
yeah.
And I think I've
And
seen The Force Awakens like 10 times, and I don't remember him once.
He's also in some of the books, the art of and things that came out about the time Force Awakens was coming out. He's in promotional materials, as you're leading up to the release of Force Awakens, and he's like in 3 frames, like literally, like he's gone, right? But you need to take your Zoovium tour, by the way. It's definitely.
I think we've been speaking about this for like 2 years now.
We have been talking about it forever, and I promise you, it would be worth a little bit of your time one day when you just need to pick me up and you need a smile. Hit
You
Martin
always make
up.
me smile, Santa. You always make me smile.
Thank you.
My favorite background character, though, is the fat Jawa from Book of Boba Fett. He comes up at like 2 or 3 points in the show, and he's chunky. He's like 2 Jawas in one.
You like your Jawas chunky.
I do.
I got that. That's my takeaway. Chunky Jawa. Meg stands for chunky Jawas. I love it. We already know you're kind of predisposition to Jawas. You have a special place in your heart for Jawas. But it's the chunky ones that are really... it's great. That's great. So the other bit of news with this is that probably, and maybe principal photography is already done. Principal filming could be done.
I think so.
And I saw this somewhere else, but Bespin also put it in here that says Natasha, who plays fan favorite Sabine Wren, best known, so on and so forth, posted a series of snaps on Instagram, which seemingly confirms the actress has concluded filming the series. And then later in the story, he says the same thing that that the filming may have already wrapped on the series. So, that they've wrapped or hinted. Currently, no other stars linked to the project shared that they've wrapped or hinted towards it. Production on the series was scheduled to end in November, so it may make sense that we're seeing members of the cast starting to wrap. Ahsoka's due to release 2023, and then there's a lot of discussion. Okay, if it's already wrapped or it's, they're in the final stages, and this is what happens during filming: is one character finishes, and then they'll have a send off for them and say, okay, that wraps it for Natasha, right? And everybody will clap, and they'll have a little moment for her as she leaves the set. And then as each of the mains, especially, wrap their production, they'll do the same thing, have a little send off. So it could be that she's finished first, and we'll start to see other principal actors begin to post that they've completed their filming as well. So it all aligns. We're coming right to the end, but we don't know what order of release these things are going to be. Mandalorian Season 3, Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka.
I think Ahsoka's going to be the winter release, whatever the case. And I think Star Wars Celebration in London is going to be like the launching pad for Ahsoka. I think that's where we're going to get the final trailer.
Which is another question I've had for you. Maybe I should save it for private discussion.
Is this about podcasts or?
Well, I know that it's in your neighborhood. It's not too
Yes.
far, and you've been kind of given a invitation to
Yes.
participate. How are you going? Or have you decided yet how you're going to do that?
I think I'm just going to have to go full face reveal.
Oh boy!
Just go for
Are
it.
you?
I don't
are
see
you
a way
gonna-
around it, to be honest.
Well, you could go as Fennec Shand, just wear the helmet, you know.
That is true. I could. Or
But-
go as the Fat Jawa. I sent you the picture in Discord if you wanted to see what I was talking about. I have it saved on my desktop.
if you see yeah, if you see a chunky Jawa at Celebration in London, you may name it Meg. I don't know. Is that what you're saying? So you could participate as Meg, the chunky Jawa. Is that
Exactly.
Meg, you're too harsh on yourself. It's not too. So would you then, in advance of Celebration, do a face reveal,
I don't know.
or allow it to just kind of happen?
I might
during
not even tell
Celebration?
people who I am. I might just do it and then be like, at the end, oh, by the way, I'm Meg.
Or like your friend who knows Megan, but
Oh,
hasn't
yes.
hasn't
There's
put
been
Megan.
developments in that story, by the way.
Has there?
Yeah, there have been developments. So
Okay.
just for those of you who don't know, I have a real life friend who I've known for years, and she's kind of my cinema friend, which means every time I go to the cinema to see a film, I usually go with her because we have similar tastes in movies. And she's a huge Star Wars fan. And about a year and a half ago, we went to dinner, and she kind of told me the YouTubers she follows, and Star Wars Meg was in there. And I kind of didn't, I was kind of just like thrown aback, but I hadn't told her that I'm Star Wars Meg, because in real life she calls me Megan, and she kind of didn't put two and two together. And she says that, you know, she never really, what was the word, seen her face, so I guess she hadn't put two and two together.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't tell her, and then I think recently she said, by the way, like, are you still at your old job? Because I
Oh.
do YouTube now for a living. I was like,
Right.
no, I do YouTube. She's like, what do you talk about? I said Star Wars, and she left me on red, and I haven't spoken to her since March. So I don't know if that kind of clicked in her brain or not, but all I know is that her boyfriend burnt his thumb, and then I don't know. I haven't spoken to her about that since, but
That's great. That is great. I love it so much. Meg, you're the best. There's more stories. There are more stories to cover as we move on. There's the Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi. We have the titles of the episodes and directors, and we have now. I heard some discussion. Are we getting 3 Ahsoka episodes, then 3 Dooku, or vice versa, or are they going to be intermixed? Ahsoka Dooku, back and
probably
forth.
intermixed, I'd imagine. I think it might jump around quite a lot. And to answer Nikki's question, because she says next time I hang out with her, I should dress like my avatar. I might start grinding like back and forward.
Or her mind is blown. That's why she hasn't, responded, figured out. Wait, I think one of my friends is Star Wars Meg. That's So the episode titles, these aren't necessarily in order, nor do we know which is which, right? Like Life and Death, directed by Nathaniel Villanueva, is that Ahsoka or Dooku? Justice, right? Same. We don't know. Is that
I
episode
think
one,
that
episode
might be the
two?
one that Yaddle dies in, Life and Death.
So it could be episode 5 or 3. We don't know.
Life and Death could be a sick joke from Yoda, because he finds out Yaddle dies and he's like, lived I did, died I did not, unlike you, bitch.
Sheev, love you too, my friend. We need to catch up. We need to catch up. So the titles there, the directors, all but one are written by Dave Filoni. This one here, Elon Murray, choices. I think it's natural to think the choices would be Dooku, right? He's choosing between the Jedi Order and leaving the Jedi Order. That's what I would think. Why does this keep jumping? And I don't imagine that Dave Filoni would let somebody else write an Ahsoka episode.
No.
So there's that. And then there's also the run times. And this has gotten a little bit of discussion as well, especially episode 5 there with 10 minutes long. Think Visions from last year. The intros and the credits aren't that long, but still it will reduce the duration of the episodes. 10 minutes for the episode length, including the intro and the credits, means the episode can't be more than, 8 minutes?
If
Something
we're
like
lucky.
Yeah. Pushing it down. That's going to be very short. Now, granted, all 6 of these together is like movie length, hour and a half or so. But if you take the credits and the intros out, what? Just over an hour?
I think someone said an hour and 23 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you remove all of those intros and outros, like an hour. Like a short animated Star Wars film.
Yeah.
But if you see the list of Jedi who are going to appear, it's pretty much all of them from the prequels. We're talking Depa Billaba, Kit Fisto, Ayla Secura. It's going to be good.
Yeah. I think it is going to be good. Which raises another. Oh, here I want to play this little excerpt here where Christian Harloff did a review, a
I got
non-spoiler
recommended
review.
this video.
Yeah, he's actually seen it already, and I queued it up to just this part. I don't think you guys will be able to hear, but I turned the subtitles on because there's a real short like synopsis of it right here. He says, "Animation's gorgeous, sound design is incredible, but it stood out." So that's what he's saying. And episode 4 is the episode he highlights as the peak of the 6. That episode 4 might be the best episode entirely.
Interesting.
So, very interesting.
Do we know the episode title? Is it Coda or is it...
Well, that's the problem, right? This isn't in order. We don't have the matching of titles with the order. Else we would be able to figure out, too, the durations, right? I would love to see them put together where we know episode 1 is... We know it's 17 minutes. But episode 1 is which one?
That's the problem.
It is the problem. It is. Look, I think that's fantastic, but it leads to the other question, and the one that kind of launches us into the discussion of Andor, and moves us on. Yeah, they're not in order, Jeremy. Right, the episode titles are not in order. So we don't know. And yes, they do drop all at once. X-Wing, if we don't get Lauk, I'm rioting. Well, get your riot gear ready, my friend. I just don't
I have
see.
a question about Tales. How far
Yeah,
are they going? Like, are they stopping at Revenge of the Sith, or could they move forward a bit?
yeah. I hope we get multiple seasons, right? So season one is Ahsoka and Dooku. Season two, we might get, you know, Qui Gon and what? Somebody else, right?
Someone else.
Um,
Santa's just saying that because he wants Ray.
but hey, I would take more Ray content, but maybe you get uh, Samuel L. Jackson to come in and voice animated Star Wars. How good would that be?
That'd be cool. I still
Right?
can't get over the guy who plays Mr. Krabs is voicing the Inquisitor.
That's fantastic.
Hello, Ahsoka. I like money.
That's great. That's great. So, but will Tales of the Jedi get more eyeballs on it? Animated typically performs a little lower than live action, and Andor is currently the the Star Wars content. If you were to guess, Tales of the Jedi dropping all 6 episodes, about an hour of story time. Will it get more streaming hours?
Probably more. Unfortunately, I think people are going to tune in for this, like Clone Wars fans, fans of Ahsoka, fans of the Mandalorian, fans of the Mandalorian who only learned about Ahsoka through Mando. I think it's going to attract a lot more people, and that's kind of sad because those who are going to watch Tales who are avoiding Andor are missing some amazing storytelling,
I,
a
I
really well
agree.
structured story.
I agree. And Astromech Jeremy, thank you so much. You know what I know you really want is Tales of the Jedi featuring our favorite droids. We need a season of Tales of the Jedi that maybe features K2SO and BB-8. I don't know.
Whatever happened to a droid story?
Yeah, what did happen to that, by the way? Um, it there's been nothing, no news on that forever. We did hear some time ago that Anthony Daniels was doing some voice work for Lucasfilm, but it's
I have
been,
no clue.
yeah, I haven't heard a peep. And when we look at all the people speculating about 2023 Star Wars content, I don't see Droid Story listed. There's been nothing on there on that front at all. So it's very difficult to tell. Very difficult to tell. But this story here has more layers to it. And Jason Ward, MakingStarWars.net, the Making Star Wars show yesterday, kind of dropped into some of the details here that I find fascinating and worth discussion, because this is the article that has everybody's attention. And mostly it comes from the tweet that's in here, and I'll just highlight that tweet here. And you covered this on your show today, where you can see the different. It says daily demand on the left, and days from the event start date across the x-axis, right? X and y-axis. So on this, you see Mandalorian season 1, season 2, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi are all the lines that are up here. Mm-hmm. This line way at the bottom that almost looks like the x-axis is Andor, which is tremendously disturbing, right? But there's more to the story. This metric is based off of social media interaction and like tweets and YouTube content, all of that. And you can see that the content is really, really low. However, if you go to, and this is done by the folks at what's the name of the analytic firm? Parrot Analytics, right? Parrot Analytics. And Jason did this yesterday. He went out to Parrot Analytics here, right? And you pull up Andor. And as you go through the stats here, it says, how well is this TV series doing in the United States? It's 30 times the market average. So it says they found that the audience demand for Andor is 30 times the demand of average TV series in the United States in the last 30 days.
But are they comparing that to reruns of 2.5 Men?
Maybe.
Because I think that's quite a broad statistic. I don't think it's as good as it sounds.
Well, it gets more interesting. 154% change in demand, which makes sense because it just started. So from no demand to starting, it's up 154%. But here, the following chart is a 60-day trend of weekly demand for Andor compared to the weekly demand of all spy action titles in the United States. And you can see that Andor is trending up. So more and more people are watching it, which also is typical with streaming content. The further it goes into, some people will wait and they'll binge 2 or 3 episodes, or they'll wait for the series to end and they'll binge the whole thing. So that all matches.
Do you remember with Mando season 2? Mando did well when it aired, but then like 4 weeks after the finale, it boomed. Like word of mouth spread. I think people just want to watch the show back to back without any kind of weeks in between to wait. So we could see that with Andor, but I do stand by what I said in my video, that it's going to take one big thing, whatever that is, like as cliche as it is, it might be a cameo, it might be something to get things moving. And I think just generally we're going to see an increase as we move into the second half, but I still don't think it's going to reach those peaks. But Mando season 3 might.
It might. I don't disagree with you, but I think that one chart is not telling the full story. And when you look at the additional analytics Parrot has, Andor is getting eyeballs, it is getting views, it is getting watch time at a much higher rate than we're led to believe. Again, this one here, it's in the top 1% of all action adventure genre. Andor has a higher demand than 99% of all action and adventure titles in the United States. And then this next one's a little confusing because it always reads 100%. You can see it says here, right? The travel ability of a TV show in its market of origin is always 100%. So that's the baseline. How does it compare, say, from the United States to Great Britain? 75%, right? From United States to Canada, 68%. Australia, 68%. Denmark.
I do have a question, Santa.
Yeah.
I said in my video that I think Andor was very well marketed. Like over here in the UK, we heard about it everywhere. Every TV channel, my local supermarkets, billboard outside it. There were ads for it on YouTube. It was kind of everywhere in the few weeks leading up to it. Unlike Book of Boba, which took to like the very last minute to market the show. What's your perception of that, of the marketing campaign for Andor?
It's been pretty good. I saw it featured in like NFL football and also college NCAA football, which is some of the top TV market ratings in the United States. I'm a big fan of college football, and as Dominic knows, I'm a huge Ohio State Buckeye fan, and they're the number 2 team in the country, and the Andor is marketed in the commercials during Ohio State football games. So I've seen those, and I've seen it whenever I turn on NFL football. So I do think that they have marketed it decently.
That's fair. I do need to jump off though, Santa.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was lovely.
Thanks,
to
Meg.
talk.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll catch you later. Bye. So just looking at these stats, Andor is getting viewers. It is getting streaming time. But I think the truth of this is also there. And like Star Wars Theory mentioned, and Meg has seen it. I've seen it. other content creators within the social media space, be it YouTube, or Twitter, Facebook, whatever. The interaction, that's what this is. This kind of indicates water cooler, if you want to think of it that way. This is water cooler talk. Do we have a lot of water cooler talk about Andor, or little? And if you remember, during the summer, Kenobi's viewership was tracked at being highest of any Disney Plus series ever. But if you look at this chart, Kenobi is the green line, right? So it's low. It doesn't match with the analytics we got from viewership. So this chart really tells us what's the social, what's the hype, what's the discussion, what's the water cooler talk. And you can see Andor is way at the bottom, which reflects very accurately in what we're seeing on our channels. And Nikki, I see your super chat. I'll grab it in just 1 second. Meanwhile, are Star Wars fans watching it? It seems that yes, and maybe not all of them, but are Star Wars fans, just a generic yes? Are Disney Plus subscribers watching it? Seems that that's the case. And it's in the top 3% of all shows in the market, right? Top 3% of all shows. And it's in the top 1% of all action and adventure. That's huge. That's huge. Now, what's it competing against? Action and adventure. Are they counting some of these other, like House of the Dragon, right? Are they counting House of the Dragon as it action adventure, or are they counting it fantasy sci-fi? What's going on with Rings of Power? Is that action adventure? Is that fantasy sci-fi? What about She-Hulk? Is She-Hulk action adventure, or something like what? I don't know enough about what are the other shows in action and adventure that puts Andor in the top 1%. Right? When you're competing against nobody, it's easy to be number one. If you're competing against a large audience or a large field, then being in the top 1% means a lot more. So that's unclear to me right now. So that's I think fair. Nikki, Kenobi shills. That's me. She's talking to me. You could have just said Santa. No, no, I'm kidding. Kenobi shills. Well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Well, okay. Andor shills. Wow, I can't believe no one's watching. Right? That is very true, Nikki. And we see that among the fandom. Like, why isn't anybody watching the thing I watch? Right? I love this thing. It's the best thing ever. Everybody should watch it. And then if you watch something that has a lot of hype and you don't like it, you're like, why are people watching this trash? Right? And it's very, very true. Very, very true. Let's see. Oh, okay. Jedi Mike. Kenobi was a 7. Boba 7.5. Andor 9. Mando 9.5. Fair. Adam. That's because Kenobi wasn't good. Andor is. Oh, very funny. Yes, it's all opinion. You're exactly right, Nikki. 100% correct. Yeah, I'm Nikki, we have a friendship. Why not just, take advantage of it? It could, I'm just having fun. Competing with Handmaid's Tale. Jedi Mike, Andor's competing with Handmaid's Tale, and where's the other half of it? And I agree with Nikki. Is that it? I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to point out, it's not all doom and gloom with Andor. It's not maybe this picture that's made its way around doesn't give us the full scope of the picture. I think when you mix together the two, it tells you a much fuller picture of what's going on with Andor. Is it getting watches? Yeah. Are people enjoying it who are watching it? You look at the ratings. Yeah, the people who are watching it are largely enjoying it, and there are people watching it. It's not the doom and gloom this shows as far as watch. Are people talking about it? Well, not as much, right? Nowhere near as much as they were talking about some of these other shows. And to Meg's point, if there is a let's say Luke Skywalker hallway scene, or Darth Vader hallway scene, or Sheev Palpatine hallway scene, something, right? Something comes in that just jars the fandom and ignites the fire in the fandom, then I think you'll see this chart of social interaction, which is really more of the scope of this chart. You'll see that climb, right? You'll see that climb. It's more accurate. So I wanted to point that out, that when you actually go to the source, Parrot Analytics, and you look at Andor, there's a lot more in here than what it seems on the cover of the chart that's made the news rounds the last couple of days. Right? All right. So and kudos to Jason Ward at MakingStarWars.net for bringing this to our attention, and he covered it well yesterday as well. So I want to talk about our Andor predictions. We do. Close that. We have a predictions game. Every week we cover the upcoming episode, and this is how the responses are coming in as we speak. So we have 15 responses to the predictions for episode 7. The link to the predictions form is in the description of this video, as well as it's all over Discord, and I tweeted it, and I put it on Facebook, I put it on Patreon, I put it in the YouTube community tab, the actual link so that you can participate. And if you get a score as well or better than Santa, you can join the likes of Matt Risman and Fanjecture on the Wall of Fame. You see the leaderboard is Baymax and Fanjecture. They have quite the lead on the rest of the field, but Matt Risman is climbing. Matt Risman is climbing the board, and we have other folks here in the chat who are regular participants in this. It's a fun game to play, and you don't have to be on the leaderboard for the season. You can make the Wall of Fame on any week, right? So here's for episode 7. Now we know this is a standalone episode. It's just one story, and then we get a 3-story arc in 8, 9, and 10, and then they said a 2-part finale. So episode 7, what's going to happen tonight? What's going to happen in this episode? And that's what you can guess here. So 80% of the people say a stormtrooper is not going to get shot with a blaster shot tonight. Now, my guess is tonight's episode is going to be an aftermath of sorts. We're going to get, we had the big heist episode last week, and tonight is going to be the aftermath of the heist. You will have stirred up the Empire. You'll have gained their interest, and there's that scene in the trailers of that Star Destroyer. This is Matt Risman's guess. He's put it on the bonus point every week, and he's gotten it wrong. But I think tonight is the night that we will see that Star Destroyer go overhead in the episode. So will stormtroopers be there? Will there be a fight? And will one of them get shot? 80% of the people say no. A droid is referred to by name. 60% are saying yes, that we're going to see somebody talk to a droid, give it instructions like B2, give me this, or B2, send a message to that, right? So that would be the case there. Matt Risman. And yet this week I didn't put it. Matt, that's how... Didn't anybody teach you, like when you're taking a test, if you're going to answer, like you're running out of time, you get down to the last, 30 seconds of test time, and you've got 5 questions that you haven't finished. You're supposed to answer the same thing for all 5, because you're probably going to be wrong most of the time. But if you answer the same, you're more apt to get one right. Where if you just kind of scattershot it, you can miss all of them. So this week you're supposed to put. He had something else he was more sure of. I see. I see it. I see. So a droid referred to by name. 56% of people are guessing yes, that's what we will see tonight. A hyperspace tunnel seen from inside a ship. Now, if this is an aftermath episode, right? We had the heist, and now this is the aftermath. What goes on? Will people be escaping through hyperspace? Will we see them inside their ship, shooting through hyperspace as they go to another place? That would be my guess. But you see, 56% of the people say no. That's not what they're guessing for tonight. A space battle between different ships. 75% no. Oh no! If the Empire's coming in, they've got the Star Destroyer coming in. We're clamping down, and people are trying to escape. You could have space conflict. So 75% of people say no. Number 5, we see a named character from another series. My guess here, I agree with the majority. 56% are saying no, because it's aftermath. We're seeing what happened to the people that we've been following. The cameos will come later. That's my guess. Sheev, I dislike the hyperspace question because it's so random when we see it. Well, that's how I had to look. I started doing these questions like this because Jason Ward knew everything about Kenobi, and it was like, how am I going to make this fair so that Jason doesn't win? So that's where this comes from. So my guess is no named cameo. Partisans in the episode. What's wrong with you all? You're wrong. 62% of the people say no. The show's about partisans. It's every single episode has had partisans in it. Why would we get no partisans in this episode? Of course we're going to get partisans in this episode. People, wrong. That's not the way this is going to work. Yes, he did know everything, and he did a terrible job at Kenobi. That's right. So that's where these questions are designed like this. We see a flashback scene. I agree with the majority here as well. I think it's very likely because we're in the aftermath of the heist. Something's going to happen. He's going to be thinking back. And we know that there's a scene of like clone era troopers, right? We see clone troopers in the trailer. And that could be thinking back to a time when clone troopers were like omnipresent, right? They're everywhere. And Cassian's experience with that. So that could be tonight. It might not be, but it could be. And the flashback scene would be like the mirror of what's going on now with stormtroopers coming in, which is how a stormtrooper could get shot. That's my guess. Sheev, I'm going to redo mine. Yeah. By the way, if you submit more than one, we only take the last one you submitted. So each subsequent submission voids the one previous. So if we get a Sheev the Wise and we get a Shrub the Wise, whichever Sheev or Shrub put in first is the one we take. So there. That's good. That's good. So we see a flashback scene. Most people think yes. Someone steals something valuable. Again, that happened last episode with the heist, and now it's the aftermath. Again, this is Santa's guess. I don't have any insider information. I don't know anything. This is just my guesses. My guess is it's the aftermath scene episode, and that we won't be stealing stuff because we're running and hiding. So that's my guess there. We visit a new planet. 50-50. Oh, 16 responses, 50-50. When they're running and hiding, will they run to somewhere they've not been? Right? Don't know. A species talks another language with subtitles. Most people are picking no. We had an argument last week that we did see different types of humans, right? We did see the natives speaking another language, but they're humans. They're not another species. And those humans were speaking another language with subtitles to translate. A variant of human doesn't count. It has to be another species. So if you had Duros, or you had a Mancala, or you had a Jawa or something like that, and a Wookiee, and it puts it in subtitles, yes. Droid, beep, 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 and subtitles doesn't count, right? Another species. So there you go. Number 11, troopers, clone troopers, stormtroopers, shore troopers, any kind of trooper, right? So are in the episode, more than one together. If this is the Clone War flashback scene, then certainly that would be the case, right? Likewise, if the Empire's coming down heavy and that Star Destroyer is in the scene tonight, then stormtroopers coming off of the or being deployed out of that Star Destroyer, we would likely see more than one together. So I think that's a high probability tonight. A light side Force user makes an appearance. So this is this is a question that I want to make sure people are thinking about in maybe a bigger context than Jedi or Padawan. A Force user, a light side Force user, could be somebody like Sharut, right? Sharut Imwe. Sharut was not a Jedi nor Padawan. He was a guardian of the Wills. Right? He was a member of the Guardians of the Wills. We did see a scene in the pilot or in the trailer that appeared to be somebody wearing like a Guardian's garb, like similar apparel that Sharut wore, kind of running into a group of people, barreling into them. We could see some other Guardians who are Force sensitive, who are a light side Force user, because like Sharut, I would say he was a light side Force user. Right? If you go watch Rogue One, I would argue that Sharut was a light side Force user. We could see somebody like that. I don't think that's happening tonight. So I agree with 94% of the people. Not happening tonight. We could be wrong. Darth Vader or Palpatine make an appearance or is referred to by name. That's an important part, right? If they say, and I saw Brent in the chat. Brent a couple weeks ago said yes, and they did name drop the Emperor. If they say Emperor, then yes, that counts, right? They're referred to by name. They could mention tonight in the aftermath of the heist, the Emperor is displeased. That's all it takes. And then that's a yes. Will it happen? I don't know. 87% of you say no. 87% say no. Yeah, Sheep, do you count Andor as a partisan? Not yet. However, do I count the cohorts there that were involved in the heist as partisans? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. The people who were running alongside, who were involved in the heist, who were true advocates or believers in the partisan cause, I count them as partisans. And the reason that is also reinforced is because there's a scene in, I think, episode 2 where Cassian's arriving on the planet and the guy's on watch. And the guy comes up to him and says, if Saul Guerrero were here, you'd be dead. Something like that. So Saul Guerrero is a partisan. Saul Guerrero is affiliated with, they're referring to him in context of who they are. So I have associated them with partisans. So there you go. I see you guys, Matt, Chief, Very funny. Very funny. 14. Someone gets arrested by the Empire. Oh boy. Again, is this an aftermath episode? Will the Empire be coming down and locking people down? Will they be arresting people randomly? Will they be grabbing folks off the street and putting them in captivity? Will they grab some of our named actors and arrest them because they're locking down the planet after the heist? Ooh, maybe. I think that the likelihood is greater than 30%. I don't know that it will happen, but I could see it happening for sure. Someone wears a disguise. It's the aftermath of the heist. You got to be hiding from the Empire. Wearing a disguise is, I think, highly likely. Highly likely. I think, again, people are wrong. They're wrong. You guys are wrong, which makes it easier for Santa to have a smaller leaderboard or wall of fame. If you guys get all the questions wrong, then you save Santa a lot of time. The leaderboard is very short. 16. A named character is wounded, not killed. It's a aftermath. Maybe there's somebody gets shot at, they get wounded. I don't know. Same with a named character is killed. We saw that last week. Would it happen this week? I'm not sure. 18. Star Wars slang is used. So we have not seen that this season. We know that he's not interested in fan service. We've seen some Easter eggs for sure, and we've heard some Star Wars terminology, but we have not heard Star Wars slang. So nobody's been called a scruffy nerf herder or anything like that. We've not heard a dank ferric or anything that we're accustomed to hearing in some of these shows. And that's what the term is. That's what the question is referring to. Will we hear any slang? We haven't heard any to this point. I think it's unlikely because Gilroy isn't writing for Star Wars slang. In fact, there's a little bit of kerfuffle in the fandom for calling something a gun instead of a blaster. That happened. So people are a little like, right? We don't have guns in Star Wars. We have blasters. Why did they call it a gun? Rah, rah, rah. Right? So that's a thing. So will Star Wars slang be used? Probably not. Lastly, the quote that we've heard in almost every Star Wars piece of content in existence, I've got a bad feeling about this. Will somebody say it? 100% of people say, no, not happening. I agree with that. And then we have the prediction. So here we see you make it for a bonus point. If you get it correct, then you get another point. So there's 20 possible points. And this is where you could put anything that you think might happen in the episode. A word of advice here, we don't do giveaways. So you can't say Cassian's going to be it or Cassian won't die, right? Those are gimmies. You can't say those. I won't give you the point. You could say it, but you're not going to get a point. So you see, this the first one here is mine. Star Destroyer scene from a trailer. I have that. Matt Risman put it every other week and got it wrong. I used it this week. Star Destroyer scene from a trailer. That's my point. You see, the next one says, we see Cassian Andor with Marva. He's going to go visit his mom. Good. That one would count, right? Because you put with Marva. If you had him just, we see Cassian Andor, no. But Cassian with Marva, good. Team Shrub. Jedi Mike. Well put. Well put. So we see Cassian Andor with Marva. That's a good guess. All right. So that's how the predictions are done. What if we see Clem? Oh, you know what, Adam? If you put somebody calls Cassian Clem, then yes, you could put that. We see Clem. No, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. So that's how the prediction game is done. That's how we go through here, and we have a lot of fun in the watch party, going through the answers, scoring them. Now tomorrow, I would need to assist my dad again with his livestock feed runs. We have to leave somewhat early, so I will be doing the live stream watch party earlier in the day, say 7:30 or 8 a.m. Preferably 7:30. If I can get up out of bed as early as 7, I don't see that happening. But 7:30 for sure. I hope to be live streaming so that we can be finished in time for me to get out of here and get running. Sheaf. What if we actually see his dad Clem though? Yeah, we see Clem, Cassian's dad. Oh sure, maybe you see where he gets hung, right? Maybe. So that's a possibility. That would count. That would count. So that's how the predictions game is done. We have a lot of fun doing it, and we have a Patreon submission. My friends. Oops, wrong. Hold on. No, wrong button. We have Patreon predictions, or not predictions. We have Patreon questions. So on a live stream, you can give a super chat, and this animation is messed up. It's messed up. But anyway, all the social stuff. We have Patreon. If you're one of our Patreon supporters at just $1 a month, we have a section on there where you can submit a question. We will read on the live stream as if it were a super chat. So it's a great way to support the channel. Join as a Patreon supporter, and it's a great way to get your question asked during a live stream without having to actually submit a super chat, right? So let me share this with all of you. Astromech Jeremy, who's been in the stream today, says, as much as Andor is zooming in on the everyday of those oppressed by the Empire, it's also adding a level of grounded reality to the Empire itself. A little less space opera like the original trilogy, and a little more uncomfortable familiar in regards to the rhetoric and prejudices of the Empire, which imply those of the Emperor himself when zoomed in on. We always knew they were bad, but zooming in on the arrogance and self-entitled superiority really gives the viewer a new look at the parallels Lucas originally made with Nazi Germany. Side note, more B2, please. Thank you for that, Astromech Jeremy. And George was more. He certainly used Nazi imagery, but his message was more than just Nazis. It was anybody acting in a state of like empirical control over another group of people. Certainly Nazis fulfill that, but he was also commenting that the Nixon regime he saw as acting empirically in Vietnam, and specifically with the Ewoks representing the Vietnamese people and the Empire representing the U.S. Armed Forces in Vietnam. But it's more than just that, too. It wasn't a straight allegory for the U.S. versus Vietnam. It wasn't an anti-Vietnam War movie. It's more about people oppressing other people and those people pushing back. So, yes, you do get the arrogance. The other interesting part about this, Jeremy, is that by showing some of the people involved, and we saw that in episode 6, people on the side of the Empire who have family. They've got wife and kids. They've got home. They've got dreams of retiring and living on. And you kind of see them as people, not just faceless stormtroopers, which was a convenient way for them to deal with the Empire. Stormtroopers are great because they're nameless, faceless, and they could be killed expendable, right? Because they're not real people, which was a great way to kind of show that without raising the emotions of actually seeing people killed, living beings, right? They're just stormtroopers, right? but what's really great about these kind of things is they show us that these officers, the soldiers, it was a great introduction of Finn in the sequels, and perhaps something that a lot of people have complained about, that his character wasn't fully, his character arc had more potential than was actually executed on screen. But I think that potential is still there, right? Like with the sequel characters, it's one of the things that I'm really an advocate of, is seeing those stories furthered and continued, right? So to see what a stormtrooper was thinking and feeling at the time, and being able to see his or her brothers and sisters in arms. The Clone Wars animated series did a really great job of showing that clones were individuals, right? Clone troopers were individuals. And like LaQuain or Rex or Cody, right? Like they have individual names, they have individual personalities, they have individual thought, that they're not just automatons, right? So what I like about seeing the universe expanded that way is being able to see this perspective. And I remember I had a degree in social studies education. I taught American history, sociology, economics, world history, all of that. And there's some great historic fiction is one of my favorite genres. Get some historic fiction where you put yourself in the shoes of somebody during a time that is reflective of an actual event in history, like real events in history, but with made up stories, made up people. But put you in the shoes of a, say, a German army soldier during World War I. It's difficult to put yourself in the shoe of a Nazi. You don't want to do that. But during World War I, a German army officer or soldier in the trenches, right? Musket loaders or whatever. You're in trenches. You're standing in water. You're freezing. You're cold. You've got no man's land in between you with all the mines, and you're just facing off day after day after day. But put yourself in the shoes of the enemy, right? The German World War I soldier. So that's what I really like about some of this, is that we can maybe see what it's like to be just a grunt, right? A soldier for the Empire. Somebody who's just serving. They have a job and they're just trying to survive day to day. Great stuff. Great stuff. Great question. I appreciate that, Jeremy. Appreciate it so much. And like Jeremy, you guys can support the channel for as little as $1 a month, and you can submit questions just like that, and we can discuss them on stream. And you can save a little bit of money by doing a super chat that way instead of here through YouTube. The other thing is, it really supports the channel in a better way than even super chats. Super chats are tremendous. They really help with the revenue of the channel. They help YouTube see that we're getting better interactions. The chat here really helps the channel grow, helps us get seen by YouTube. You guys are fantastic. Nikki, thank you for the super chat earlier. We've had a couple super chats during the live stream, and they are really, really helpful. So I want to just go back and mention those who have super chatted today. There's a couple of them. Let me find the first one. I went back to the beginning and making my way through. Just a second, we'll find them. They kind of stand out in the chat, so I hope that I'm able to find them here quickly. If not, I apologize for that, and hope that you guys know just how appreciative I am of your support. There it is. Astromech Jeremy with the $2 super chat, as well as the support on Patreon. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very, very much. And Astromech and Astromech Jeremy and I actually share a lot of things in common, and I'm so appreciative of his support. And Nikki, dear friend, Nikki can contact me. She could DM me anytime, but the super chat is appreciated, my friend. Thank you for that. It really does help the channel a ton. So yeah, Astromech, like when we saw a bit of that in Solo as well. Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, that wraps it up. We've got live stream in the morning where we will do a live watch party reactions, and we'll go through the predictions together. And I look forward to doing that with you in the morning. Just a heads up, Jason is caring for some sick kiddos today. I'm not sure if he'll be able to do his regular live stream. I know he wasn't able to join here because he was doing that. Normally on Tuesdays, Jason Ward joins me. Meg, thank you so much for dropping in and spending time with us as well, my friend. Appreciate that so much. Hey, Star Wars Fits. Appreciate the super sticker there. Oh, cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. May the force be with you all. Indeed. I'm just watching the chat. So, no, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. I hope you all have a wonderful, terrific afternoon. Thank you. Sending love to your dad. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. He's getting better. Quentin, $5 super chat. Thank you. Pair character lying on the side says, "How is it going?" Oh, it's going quite well. We've been quite busy caring for Dad. Dad's getting around a lot better. He's got shoulder surgery scheduled December 6th. We'll be going out tomorrow. He'll be going with us. We've ordered him a different kind of walker so he can maybe start doing his chores again. He could go out and feed the horses and spend time in the barn helping out there. Maybe take some of the load off of my wife and I. My wife's been wonderful. She's been absolutely a dear in going cleaning in the barn, taking care of manure and water and all that kind of thing. It's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do it, and she's been a godsend. It's been a whole family effort. My brother is back in North Carolina because his wife was in a car accident and cracked her sternum, and she's recovering from that. It's been a rough few months, but we're doing well. Mentioning North Carolina, in just over a week, we will be driving to North Carolina. We're going to be camping in North Carolina. So anybody who lives in that area, you'd like to touch base and say hi, let me know. Hit me up. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Appreciate it. And I can't wait to talk to you soon. I will look forward to Andor episode 7 tonight. And until then, my friends, may the force be with you always. And ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Wait a minute. Santa forgot something. So for those of you who hung out just a little bit, we forgot to do the Mike Porter dad joke of the day. Oh no, how could that be? What happened? We have to show the Mike Porter dad joke, and I just fixed the audio thing with no music. We'll replay that. But for those of you who are still here, I see 20 people still here. The Mike Porter dad joke, Star Wars joke. Have you seen the young, good-looking rebel? He's adorable. Oh, thank you, Mike Porter. Appreciate that. And sorry I missed it earlier. Great to for those of you who hung on. Appreciate it. And here we go with the outro one more time. Let's see if you can hear the music this time.
Hot dang! Talking through the news from a galaxy far away. Toys and book reviews, positivity all the way. Come and join the fun, subscribe and like away. Movie news and show reviews, it's like Christmas every day. Oh, Star Wars Santa, Star Wars Santa, the Star Wars Santa show. Oh, what fun it is to chat on the Star Wars Santa show. Oh, Star Wars Santa, Star Wars Santa, the Star Wars Santa show. Oh, what fun it is to chat on the Star Wars Santa show. Ho, 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 ho. Hot dang, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat tonight on the Star Wars Santa show. He can feel your presence. So join the chat, loosen up and have some fun with Star Wars Santa.
I see it, Wentz. Good work.
Talking through the news from a galaxy far away.